The immortal John Hancock here, and after waiting a long time, over a year, it's here. The Retron 77 in my hands. I'm going to do a full review. Let's check it out. All right, backside. Power, HDMI, fry button, 4369 aspect ratio, color black and white button, and micro SD card. Awesome. Cartridge port there. Looks pretty solid. I'm going to test that. And yeah, there you have it. And here and compare it to size. So this is it compared to a standard 2600. So that's pretty small. I like that. And then here is even to a junior. It's almost, you could almost say it's almost about half the size of a junior. So this is tiny. I love it though. I think if we're going to make a, a third remodel, it would be small like this. And I like the look of it a lot, quite a bit. I like the top there and the fake wood grain. Anyways, hookups. So the hookups that come with it. It came with this box here. And should be your standard fare, but HDMI cables. Power, manual, and this is the power adapters. These are nice because they take up less space on a power strip. I really like that. Anyways, I'm gonna look here about the fry button. So this is essentially the manual. Yep, fry button. Frying was something that you could do by, I think, putting your cartridge in and out of a console while it's on back in the day. The fry button allows you to experience bizarre in-game glitching effects that might enable you to unlock parts of the game that you weren't able to access before. Interesting, and I know that's back in the day frying, and so that is an actual feature. Alright, there's three things that I want to cover in this review today. Functionality. How well does the Retron 77 function? Compatibility. How compatible is it with 2600 hardware? And there's a ton of hardware. I'm also going to cover, does it work with Sega Genesis 3 and 6 button controllers? I also can throw in the 7800 controller, including the control pad. Tons of Atari 2600 hardware. I picked things that people might most be interested in seeing if it's compatible. I have even the StarPath supercharger, going to test that. I have famous third-party controllers, including the Wiko Bat. I have paddles. I have the driving controller. I even have the Spy Hunter controller holder, the track and field controller. Also, a lot of people out there, I want to know, does it work with an Atari Flashback controller as well as a standard 2600 controller? And so that's on the hardware end. Oh, I'm also going to test both multi-carts, the Harmony and the Uno cart. Also, there's new aftermarket controllers. I picked one up from Castlemania Games. I'm going to see if that works with it. Also, hardware. I'm going to test an original prototype, see if it even recognizes it. A reproduction of a game never released. Funky sized Atari 2600 controller, so I'm going to see how the cartridge slot fits, how that fits. A pirate cart, Pitfall 2. It just has unique hardware, so it makes it kind of hard to run. Homebrew games and hacks. And I'm going to probably test a lot of this hardware on the appropriate games. Mostly on the joysticks, I'm going to use Berserk. I find that Berserk is a nice game to test things on. So let's check it out. All right, this is what the menu looks like when you turn on a Retron 77 without a cartridge. And here's the games. And included are 4 homebrew games. First up is Baby. Baby's pretty simple. You avoid everything in the game and you move a little baby around. And if you touch a human, you get turned into a pet. You get bonus points. And next up is Nexion 3D. Nexion 3D is kind of like a 3D Berserk. Not my favorite game. It's a little bit slow, and 3D doesn't work really well, but it's a homebrew game and it's included for free, so can't complain about that. Next up is Astrometer, and it's a pretty interesting game. You can use joystick and paddle, and you're observing the sky, and you try to focus on what you see in the sky, avoiding the clouds, and then pressing the fire button. And if you hit the clouds with your beam, then you lose your gauge, and so you have to do that before time runs out. Next up, Muncher 77. Muncher 77 is probably the best game of the homebrews that's included. Kind of a classic arcade style game, eating things on the screen and avoiding the alien. And I enjoyed this one the best of the four. All right, let's talk about what works. All right, there's a lot that works with the Retron 77. I had to play Berserk. It was the first game that I popped into the unit. And again, there's not a lot of nice features on this console. You can change the aspect ratio to standard 4:3 versus 16:9. There's also save states, which work wonderfully. And again, it looks great, looks sharp. I had a lot of success with many of my cartridges. Pac-Man, if you want to play Pac-Man, a lot of people remember this game, and for some, maybe they didn't like this version of Pac-Man, but for many, this was a timeless classic. Adventure, Adventure is an awesome RPG game. Looks great. Pitfall, everything that I inserted into the cartridge slot worked the first time. I really like the cartridge slot. The only con is your cartridges are backwards versus the original 2600. I need to say that. It's going to bug some people. I wasn't bothered by it. I really like the quality of the cartridge port. It had a nice fit. Hubert, again, all these games worked the first time. I keep my games pretty clean, so I didn't have any issues with like a lot of dirt and stuff. I had a lot of clean copies of these games in my collection for a long time. Now, this is King Kong, and this was a prototype, and it worked the first time. Popped it right in. It was a final release, and so it didn't surprise me too much. This game, Bobby's Going Home, again, this was like a pirate cart. And, it fired right up. Lasercade, this is a unreleased reproduction card. And again, popped it in the Retron 77 cartridge, and it worked. I was really happy to see this. More importantly, Kaboom works with the paddle controllers, and I didn't have any issues. Track and field controller worked as well. This was a shocker for me. I still lost the computer though. Also, the controller holder for Spy Hunter, which is kind of an odd accessory, does work. Tapper, which is an odd shaped size cart, fit nicely into the Retron 77. Again, the cartridge connector that they use was quality, and it worked. Now, this is kind of a works and doesn't work. Works with a joystick, but Indy 500 does not work with a driver controller. Alright, good news is Pitfall 2 works when you load the ROM in the micro SD card slot. However, the cartridge does not work currently. A software update might fix that, but as of now, Pitfall 2 cart does not work. Some hacks work. Berserk Voice Enhanced on cart did work. Also, StarPath Supercharger. The ROMs work loaded on the micro SD card, but not the actual StarPath Supercharger. The physical hardware does not work. Now, homebrews. Big bummer is that carts, as of now, do not work on the Retron 77. You have to load the ROMs on the micro SD card slot. Alright, let's talk about what doesn't work. Honestly speaking, the Harmony cart not working on it is not a big deal. The Uno cart, again, doesn't work as well, but it has a micro SD card slot built in, so you can add your ROMs there. The Omega Race special controller did not work. I also tried a ColecoVision controller. Neither one worked in the current state of the Retron 77. As mentioned before, Pitfall 2 cart didn't work, as well as my Burger Time. I had two Burger Time carts, both did not work in the unit. Also, some special controllers that didn't work. Star Raiders. Yeah, that's right. Star Raiders did not work in the Retron 77. I know some people are going to be bummed about that. Also, the kids controller did not work as well. So either one I could not get to work. So there you have it. Exhaustive overview of this product. It is not perfect, but I see potential with it. I do like it overall. I think it does a great start to playing classic Atari 2600 games on a modern TV. Now, save states, all that, it plays, I would say, probably 95% of the library. There's a couple games that it didn't work. Burger Time, Pitfall 2 being just a couple of the ones that I had issues with. Now, I know a lot of people are like, yeah, but it doesn't play homebrews and it doesn't play this. A software update, one software update could fix all this. And so this has a Stella emulator and an older version of that. All it has to do is be updated, and some of that is going to be resolved. And so once this gets out to the general public, I think that people are going to tinker with it, and it's going to make it amazing. And I think it's going to resolve some of the issues that I had with my unit. And there are issues, but there's more positive than negative about this product. So again, it's available. It's available to pre-order now, and it's going to go be released early July 7th, I do believe. And so, yeah, overall, I liked it, and I think it's a welcome addition to the Atari collection. I definitely want to play with it more, and I want to see the updates. And with the updates, I'll be able to talk about it more on my channel. Again, if you're new to the channel, welcome. I do lots of product reviews. I talk about games, talk about weird stuff, showcase stuff in my collection. Thank you for continuing to tune in to my humble channel, and I look forward to doing many more awesome videos about video games. I love it. And so, most appreciated. This is the Immortal John Hancock. Thank you, and you take care.